Hi everyone, welcome to You with the Miracle FM on Thursday nights. I'm so happy to see you again and I hope you're all safe from the bushfires. So my Thursday night sessions, You with the Miracle, are about giving you an uplifted feeling in the middle of the week. Just every week I share something that will be handy for you to snap you out of a mood, or to make you feel better in yourself, to make you feel resilient and less stressed and more happy, of course. So tonight I feel very, very happy with my life. Tomorrow I'm going to turn 58 and I can say from the bottom of my heart, I've never felt more secure, more loving in myself, more settled and more satisfied. And these are all internal feelings, like how I feel in myself, more able to trust in myself and also more confident. And I simply love being by myself too. So that's all very beautiful. So tonight's session, I really want to address you younger girls who are watching. So people half my age, my own daughters, my beautiful clients who I see. And also this is for my younger self, and this is something I wished I'd known when I was 20 and 30 and in my early 40s. Because when I come home, I'm surrounded by young adults, moms with children, and people at work too. I see so many busy moms. And what I noticed though, and what I know for myself, is when I was in my 20s and 30s, and 40s too, I always struggled with so much guilt. Like first I felt guilty that I didn't have an income and we had 6 children. And then when I started to get an income, I felt that was worse in some ways, because then I felt I didn't have enough energy for the children, or I wasn't around as much. And I think actually that's some of the deepest, most intense guilt that I see in my young clients, like people in the middle years, like people in their 30s or 20s who are working, or whether you're not working. When you're a mom especially, you're pulled in so many directions and you just never feel good about yourself. And when your baby is sleeping, then you should be resting, but you feel too guilty, so you do other things and so on. And anyway, if we're not careful, this continues on even when the children have long grown up. Because guilt is actually not an emotion, it's a mood, right? And I'll explain this in a minute. So it feels like an emotion. Guilt feels like a negative emotion, but it's actually a mood. So when a mood appears when you've been feeling one type of emotion for too long. Let's say you got stuck in fear, something fearful happened, but the event is over now, but in your body you're still feeling fearful all the time, and it's been prolonged. Now it's become a mood. So you could say you suffer from anxiety. That's a sort of a mood, right? It saps your energy and your vitality. And it means you're not having as much fun in your life and you're not really your best self. And so guilt is a mood, and the emotion underneath guilt apparently is anger. Now this might come as a surprise. It even came as a surprise to me and a surprise to many people. But guilt is actually anger towards the self, towards yourself. And so guilt is one of the most damaging feelings or moods that we can carry around in our body. And I dare say it's safe to say that everyone who's watching this video tonight probably has some guilt in their body. And so in a minute I'm going to do a practice that will help you release this guilt, release at least one layer of guilt. And if you do some every day, you're going to release more and more guilt. And instead of guilt, what's the opposite to guilt? What's the feeling or the state or the mood that you're going to be in? I dare say it would be a sense of freedom, like liberation, a liberated mood, joy and peace as well. Because if you feel guilty, a lot, you actually don't have much peace. So I'm really doing this video for my younger self. Like I was saying, tomorrow I turn 58 and I feel really great now. It's so good to be that age. And so you younger people who are watching this, please don't be scared about getting older, because your life gets richer, better, you become more secure, more loving, and everything starts to flow. But I actually want this for you while you're still young. You know, like I wished I'd known all this emotional intelligence and everything that I do today. I feel so lucky, so blessed. I wished I'd had all these tools when I was 20. So what I notice in a lot of 20-year-olds is probably loneliness. That would be a dominant mood. But as soon as you have children, definitely the guilt takes the foreground of your moods. So guilt is a mood. Now, apparently a mood that's prolonged becomes an attitude. And that's even worse. So I had a guilty attitude, and I still catch myself having a guilty attitude sometimes even now. Like today, I'm driving around Tasmania. It's also beautiful here. And instead of feeling lucky, I caught myself thinking for a few minutes. I felt guilty that I'm not in a bushfire, you know. And sometimes I'm guilty that I'm so fortunate here, but women in Africa have it so hard, or there are people in other countries who have nothing to eat. And I almost feel guilty about being who I am, feeling happy, and so on. So this is actually when guilt has become an attitude, and I was kind of stuck in that attitude for many years for lots of reasons that I won't go into now, but at least I'm not doing that anymore. And so when guilt has become an attitude, it colors your perspective on life. So like your lenses, you know, your glasses are full of guilt. You can't really see reality how it is, and you're not much fun to be around. Plus, I'm ashamed to say that I've given all my kids a guilt complex as well. But we laugh at it now because at least we're aware of it, and we trigger each other, and we help each other to release all that stuff. So let's do a little bit of an exercise to help you release at least one layer of guilt today. Okay, so I want you to think of something that really triggers you, something that you feel bad about in yourself. Okay, so it can be as simple as you bought a pair of shoes that you didn't need, you bought a gym membership and you never went to the gym, you forgot to pack your kids' lunches when they went to school and they were hungry all day one time. Just think of something that you feel triggered. You can trigger guilt in your body. So just do that now. Just think of one thing that you feel really guilty about. And just as an aside, this is different to when you've actually done something wrong. Like, let's say, if you burn somebody's house down, it's appropriate to feel guilty. And then there's a different route that you need to take. You need to, you know, correct that situation. Or if you stole something, you need to bring that back to the person. So I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about unwarranted guilt that saps our juices, that makes us feel lifeless and dull and burdened to be around. So just think of something. So think of a situation or a time, something happened, you feel guilty about it now. So now I want you to amplify that feeling. So that means make it bigger, lean into it, and you can close your eyes and feel where that sits in your body. Okay, so I can feel a sort of a tension in my stomach, and so I'm going to put my hand on that area. Okay, and you can close your eyes just to be present for your body, because we've always got our eyes open, we're distracted, and our body is feeling neglected. And this is about releasing guilt from your body, not per se from your brain, from your body. Now, if you can remember something you felt guilty about. Let's say you went out for lunch to an expensive restaurant instead of paying your hydro bill. Yeah, think of that. And but you're actually not feeling it in your body because you're not used to feeling things in your body. I'm going to suggest that in most of my clients, when they feel guilty, it sits in their lungs or in their belly, like in their large intestine, in their gut. So you can put your hand on the lung points are here, so you can put your hands there, or you can put your hands on your lower belly. Okay, so now your hands are putting energy into that spot and connect with that feeling of guilt. And breathe into it, connect with it, lean into it, tune into it, make it bigger. So I'm going to ask you some questions while you're doing this now. Does it guilty feeling, does it feel moving, as if it's moving, or does it feel still? And you just take note of that answer in yourself. Does it have a color, and what color would you give it? Does it have a smell? What smell would you give it? What sound would it make if it had a sound? What would it taste like? Is it hot or cold? Is it sharp or prickly or smooth or slimy if you were to touch it? If it made a sound, yeah, I already said it, what would it sound like? So just ask your body all those questions, and now you've really amplified that feeling of guilt. Sometimes it makes you feel hot, like it gives you a burning feeling in your heart. So if that's the case, put your hand on your heart and stay with it, stay with the feeling. So think of how much you enjoyed your expensive lunch, the guilty pleasure instead of paying your bills, or how that you bought 2 pairs of extra shoes when you should have paid that money, saved it for the kids' school uniform for next year. And where do you feel that? Maybe you feel it in your heart. So just take notice, pay attention to what's going on inside your body and lean into that guilty feeling till it's gone. So that can take a bit longer. I'm rushing it now because I'm doing a demo. But you basically got the outline here, what you need to do. So when we have a horrible feeling in our body, we usually want to suppress it, don't we? We don't want to feel that, so we do anything at all to run away from it. So actually I used to have a really strange habit. I used to, and that's didn't stop not all that long ago. So I used to sometimes buy something for myself, let's say a pair of shoes that I didn't need, and instead of showing them to Pete or even myself, I would put them in the cupboard for 1 or 2 months before I wore them. And it's not that Pete didn't want, it's nothing to do with Pete or the kids. It was simply, in hindsight, I realized I didn't want to feel guilty, but actually I'm inviting you to, if you have done something like that, get your shoes out and wear them right now, and so that you feel guilty, so that you can deal with it. So if you've bought an expensive car and you're really struggling with the repayments, I'm going to say drive that car around and trigger the guilt if you feel guilty about it, and sit with that feeling so that you can heal your body, so that you get healthy. Because guilt tends to sit in the lungs and it stops you from taking full breaths, so it actually starts to make you feel really tight and constricted. And also in your gut a lot of the time, giving you food allergies and burning. And besides all of that, even if it doesn't sit in those 2 places, it's going to reduce your vitality and sap away at your energy. So do the opposite. lean into it, engage it, explore the feeling, sit with what comes up. And like if you're a mom and you're thinking of, let's say, oh, I spent a bit of time with Emily today, but I didn't spend enough time with Tommy or whatever, and now it's too late. What you do is stop thinking about the situation and feel into that feeling. Now, according to the experts, what's the emotion behind guilt, because guilt is a mood, not an emotion. It's driven by an emotion, and the emotion is anger. So if your guilt doesn't heal like this, do some anger work. Okay, and anger work is simply screaming in a pillow, driving around in your car by yourself and screaming really loud and banging the steering wheel and just expressing that energy, that anger energy, which is an upright energy, so it needs to come out of your body, it needs to rise and come out. And that will work as well to help you, give you freedom from guilt, so you feel peaceful and calm and you don't get triggered. And you can have a happy 2020. That's what I want for all of you. I want everyone to feel as good as I do today. And, you know, actually the solution is easy. Most of the time you have to do the opposite to what you used to do, to what you've been told to do at school, what you've been told to do by your parents, because they're still stuck in how people functioned in the dark ages, because nobody showed them that you need to do the exact opposite. This pretty much goes with all your emotions, right? So I'm talking about guilt, but shame is another really, guilt and shame, they have a really low frequency. So shame is even more dulling and more draining than guilt. So do this, if you have shame in your body about anything, do this exercise on shame. Shame is very, very close to the frequency of death, all right, which is the opposite to being alive. So if you want to have a good life and feel fully alive and feel vibrant and young, release your shame and release your guilt. And you just simply do it by following the instructions. I'll type it up and post it on this Facebook Live. Thank you everyone for tuning in and for watching, and hope you stay safe. And yeah, the bushfires are bringing up a lot of feelings and emotions, and probably intensifying our moods and our attitudes and our perspective on life. Like if you have a pessimistic outlook on life, the bushfires will probably make it worse. So today I had a healing session with Sarah Ann as well, and I asked for help. So always ask for help and seek help when you notice you're a little bit stuck. Don't walk around like that for longer than you need to, okay? And so I had a beautiful healing session with Sarah Ann, and I feel really, really good now. I do anyway most days, but there's always more healing to be done. And or look back through my Facebook Lives, You're the Miracle, and there's probably something there that you're going to find helpful. But most of the time what it means is just sit with that feeling that comes up if it's very intense. And it usually only takes no longer than 5 or 10 minutes for it to completely release from your body. And then you've released at least one really thick layer that's been processed now and it's gone for good. And that's getting you closer to your true core self, your core being. You know, that's always full of wisdom and love and happiness. It's all there inside you. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope that you all have a beautiful week and a wonderful start to 2020. Take good care of yourself, love yourself, and look after yourself. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week. Bye-bye. See you, everyone.